Welcome back to another episode of Marvel 901. So today I'm going to talk about Living Lightning, Punisher 2099, Journey into Mystery and Tales to Asgard. So I'm going to start off with a character called Living Lightning. His real name is actually Miguel Santos and was introduced in West Coast Avengers Volume 2, Issue 63. So he started off as a villain. He was actually basically a part of Pacific Overlords, but eventually went over to the West Coast Avengers actually fairly quickly. His father apparently was a member of Legion of the Living Lightning, who actually fought the Hulk in Tales to Astonish issues 97 to 99. So Living Lightning obviously has some lightning powers. Probably figure that part out. He can actually turn himself into lightning, electricity, and of course has some offensive and defensive powers through that, and also travel a very long distance through this means. Fairly small character though, born in California, Los Angeles, and is currently a student. So I'm going to move on to Punisher War Journal issue 67 from 1994. This is the third part of the Pariah storyline. So this obviously is after Suicide Run, as Punisher had killed Blackwell, who was actually a member of V.I.G.I.L, also of course a police officer, which making him a cop killer. Thus he has the entire V.I.G.I.L and especially the V.I.G.I.L leader called Nails after him. Now Nails is kind of tough as Nails, and he's very determined to get Punisher. He managed to find actually a stash that Punisher had and find Punisher through that stash, and he immediately started to shoot to kill. It didn't actually matter to him if any civilians got injured or anything like that. He just needed to kill Punisher, which in a way through his view basically makes sense, I guess. Anyway, it's a big fight, very nasty one at that, and Punisher wins and actually nails to the wall. Haha. So he decided Punisher basically got a little bit of time so he could leave, only he finds Spider-Man just outside the door. So in this issue there's another story actually, well, the first part of a story anyway, the story called Trouble. So basically Punisher hunted down Duke and Dave Collins to get information on their father, who is apparently some bad crime lord guy. Yeah, more on this in the next issue. So we're going to move on to the future. Punisher 2099 issue 17 from 1994. So this is the third part of the Public Enemy file. So basically Punisher is fighting some bikers and people are looking on, aghast and all that. And Public Enemy decides to just kill everyone who's watching this, basically thinks that they are sheep. This of course gets Punisher's attention for the first time ever, I think, on the Public Enemy guy, and he decides to hunt him down. Only Public Enemy disappears very quickly. So back at the Punisher headquarters, or hideout or whatever, Punisher basically talks to his friend, ally, whatever, Matt Alex, who apparently knew Public Enemy, and he personally asked the Punisher not to fight the Public Enemy, because he's a friend and he doesn't really see the world as people do, or something like that. Punisher naturally decided that no, of course I'm gonna fight this guy, he's a killer. So eventually he finds the Public Enemy. They have a big fight. I mean, the Public Enemy is a really, really nasty guy. I mean, force-wise. He's very powerful, and he actually defeats the Punisher. After the defeat, the Punisher decides that he needs to go and punish his traitor ally, Matt Alex. Ending the story there. So we're going to move on to Journey into Mystery, issue 103 from 1964. So this introduces the Enchantress and the Executioner. Exciting. So basically Loki tasked the Enchantress to steal Thor's love, who is of course Jane Foster at this time. But Enchantress failed, as Jane Foster basically walked in on Don Blake, of course, and this mystery woman, client, patient, whatever, almost making out, thus basically ending the whole mystique thing there. So Enchantress goes back to Asgard, talks to Executioner, who actually had a big crush on her, or an infatuation at least. So basically, she basically told Executioner to help to make Jane Foster just disappear. So Executioner naturally did this because he believed at least she would be more in favor of him, or look at him more favorably. Anyway, Executioner went down to Midgard, or Earth, to basically whisk Jane Foster into a sort of limbo. However, Thor defeated Executioner and got Jane back from limbo. Enchantress basically decided to use this to kind of come to an aid, come to help Thor against Executioner, turn him into half a tree or whatever. However, this was very, very see-through for Thor, and he basically just whisked them both Enchantress and Executioner, back to Asgard. And of course the love was still there between him and Jane Foster. So in this issue we also have Tales of Asgard. This is naturally a little bit older stories, basically stories of legends, basically in Thor's life. So this story is called Thor's Mission to Mimir. I think at least that's how it's pronounced. Anyway, Sindri, this dwarf lord guy who basically the dwarves created the enchanted weapons that the Asgardians used. Sindri created this ship that can basically shrink or enlarge, basically on Thor's command. And Thor used this this ship to go to this mysterious realm to find Mimir. And on the way there, he basically fought a boar god, supposedly the most powerful boar god, called Gullin. And then he got to Mimir. So Mimir used an enchanted fountain and a branch of the Yggdrasil, the tree of life, to create mankind. So apparently this is actually how the Norse tales actually go in the whole creating mankind thing. Kind of interesting actually to see. So that's it for today. Thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Do subscribe if you like this. All of this is of course Marvel's creations. I'm only telling the story. And stay safe out there.